What's up, you guys? Welcome to Walk the Line. We're going to be talking Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This boxing match taking place tomorrow night, taking place Friday night, the day before the huge UFC 309 fight card. I'm very glad they didn't do both events on the same day, okay? Because for someone that has criticized these Jake Paul spectacles at times, I barely even have tuned into to certain matches. He's kind of grown on me a little bit. If you guys caught me on IG at MMA Fortune Teller _, I was sitting ringside for that last match against Mike Perry. Okay. And it was kind of fun. I'll be honest. It was kind of a fun event. Now this one is going to be even more entertaining, or it's going to gravitate me towards watching it because when you have Mike Tyson stepping in there, okay, Mike Tyson, one of the legends of the boxing game. I grew up watching Mike Tyson since I was a young kid. That changes everything now. Because you're not talking about Jake Paul versus some washed MMA fighter. You're not talking Jake Paul versus a basketball player or whatnot. You're talking about Jake Paul fighting one of the greatest boxers of all time. And I say that not in the sense that this is going to be an extremely competitive fight, but I say that in the sense that I just want to see Mike Tyson step back in the ring. Okay, there's almost a 30-year gap in age, which is ridiculous. Mike Tyson's 58 years old. Jake Paul on the verge of being 28. Okay, there is a 30-year gap in age. Okay, and not to show my cards and what I'm thinking about how this fight's going to play out. I want to dive into it, and I want to dive into some betting lines. I definitely want to preview the co-main event as well. I want to preview Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. I think that's a great fight as well. It's a rematch. The first fight went to a split decision, and I have some confident thoughts on that match as well, especially in regards to where the betting line is. Real quick, if you guys are new to this channel, if you're just stopping by because you guys searched this Paul versus Tyson fight, subscribe to my channel, man. Like this video. If you guys like the UFC, if you like mixed martial arts specifically, and you like diving into all the betting action and diving into the numbers, the betting lines, this is the channel that you want to tune into, okay? Because we have videos coming out every week. We dive into every UFC fight card. We dive into some PFL action and all that. So please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me, guys. I put a lot of work into what I'm doing here. And I'll say this real quick before we jump into this card. If you're looking to sign up to a new sports book, reach out to me and I'll give you my referral link for BetUS. Okay, you sign up through my referral link, you will get a 150% match on your first 3 deposits, and I will send you over an additional gift. All right, guys, if you're interested, go shoot me a DM on Twitter or Instagram. It's scrolling below, or you could shoot me an email as well, MMAFortuneTeller@gmail.com.
The teller.
So a lot of hardcore boxing fans felt that this should have actually been the main event. And I saw that a little bit online. I don't know how serious they were being. I mean, when you're talking Mike Tyson returning back to the ring, he's going to be headlining the card, okay? Besides the fact that Jake Paul has really started to create a buzz for himself. But I understand the sentiment. It's the fact that this is like a real deal fight, right? It's for the super lightweight title. This is a rematch. The first fight was competitive, went to a split decision for Katie Taylor. Note, that fight took place about 2.5 years ago. Like I said, Taylor gets that split decision. A lot of people thought Serrano should have won the fight. If you took a look at the numbers, very interesting. Serrano threw about double the amount of punches, landing 173 of her 624 strikes thrown, okay, landing at 27.7% accuracy, while Taylor only threw 375 punches, but connected 147 times. She was much more accurate, landing at almost a 40% clip. Okay, so you had a different stylistic type of attack there with Serrano just throwing all that volume, fighting out of the southpaw stance. Katie Taylor, a lot of counter strikes. She was landing clean. Now, I'll say this. This fight really, we'll get to the line here in a second, but this fight really screams redemption for Serrano to me. I was just there live for her victory over Stevie Morgan. She absolutely annihilated her. I know going into it, that's what we expected. She was a massive favorite, but the way that she went out there, I mean, we were at the Amalie Arena for that fight in Tampa, and she absolutely woke everybody up. Things were going crazy at that point in time. The crowd was going crazy. She always has a lot of support in the arena. I expect that to be the case once again. I expect the crowd to be behind her. Of course, she's Jake Paul's little sidekick. She's always on the undercard of these Jake Paul events. I believe Paul's her manager or whatnot, and I believe that we're gonna see her win a decision here. I do. I mean, yeah, there's a possibility she can get a knockout. I mean, she's very dangerous there, but I think it goes to the judges' scorecards, and I think this time she gets the nod. We talked about how she was very aggressive the first time that they faced off, and she's going to have that volume going for her, and I think that gives the judges that opportunity to give her the nod, which is what the crowd's going to want. It's what Jake Paul and everyone behind the promotion's going to want, and I think we're talking redemption here. Since that last victory, when they faced off the last time 2.5 years ago, Katie Taylor is now 38 years old, creeping up on 38 and a half. She recently lost to Chantel Cameron, and I know she bounced back with the victory over Cameron. She got redemption there. I still feel that a lot of signs are pointing towards Serrano's way. So let's just take a look at the line real quick. This is a very close line. Amanda Serrano is a -130 on BetUS right now. Katie Taylor is at even odds, and I believe that the value is on Serrano, and I do favor this fight making it to that final bell. The over-under right now is set at 8.5 rounds. This is a 10-round fight. If you're looking at the over 8.5 round marker, it's set at -800 right now on BetUS. There's a huge lean that this fight goes the distance, right? Even if you're looking at a specific bet for this fight to go the distance, you're going to see a huge line next to it. You're not going to find any value there. I think you should be looking at Serrano on the money line, or maybe you're taking a specific method of victory on Serrano to win this fight via decision. If it's worth your while to target that, I don't know how much of a change you're going to get in your line. You may be better off just sitting on that ML, taking the money line on Serrano. But initially, I kind of was going to be aiming towards Taylor's way, but the more I dove into this fight, it really does scream Serrano to me. I think the volume is going to give those judges that avenue to give her the decision victory there, and for her to get redemption, maybe setting up another fight down the line, or we'll see where they go from there. And that takes us to the spectacle of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, 30 years older than Jake Paul. It's absurd. Can anyone even think about the last time we've seen any type of combat sports match between two fighters that had such an age gap? I mean, point something out if you guys can. There's a fight that I'm going to be highlighting here in a second, but even in that match, right, Evander Holyfield and Vitor Belfort, there wasn't near that much of an age gap, but Holyfield also was 58 years old at the time of that last boxing match where he made a little spectacle return fighting an MMA fighter in Vitor Belfort. 58 years old was Holyfield, the same age that Tyson will be this weekend, and Holyfield looked horrible in that fight. It was brutal. If we see any similar signs of Tyson looking like that, I mean, this is going to get ugly in there, okay? Because Jake Paul, I've fully came around on him. Not to say that I was really not the biggest believer in him. I mean, in the beginning, I think we all had our doubts, right? He's going in there, knocking out these basketball players. He's knocking out these wrestlers that don't have a lot of striking, like Ben Askren. But eventually, I came around in the sense that he's actually like a legitimate prospect. He's picking up boxing very well. And after going and seeing him live in his last fight against Mike Perry and being so close to the ring and watching the way he moved and just his size and whatnot, I'm like, oh, he's actually like a real deal boxer in there, a real deal up and coming boxer. I'm not saying that he's going to hang with the best of the best right now. All right. I know he's talking about fighting Canelo and all that. I mean, that's a little bit of a joke as far as I'm concerned, but who knows how far he pushes it one day. He's 27 years old, has a lot of time and room for growth. I don't know. I mean, let's just see how things go over the next couple of years. But he's fighting a real deal boxer, man. But Mike Tyson, what is he going to have left to offer? I think that Mike Tyson's going to be lacking very much so as far as his cardio goes. This is an 8-round fight. We got 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds. I think that Mike Tyson's going to be breathing very heavily as this fight goes past the midway mark. I saw him hitting pads throughout the week, and he actually looks to be breathing pretty heavily as he's hitting the pads. He looks good initially. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he has some pop on his shots. He looks great. It's fun to watch. I love watching him hit the pads. I've always been a huge Mike Tyson fan, but I think that he's going to be in some problems as this fight goes to the later rounds, which I do expect it to go to the later rounds. If Mike Tyson was going to have success in this match, I think he has to get an early knockout, which is something that he always did throughout his career, right? When you think about prime Tyson, he was going out there starching these dudes in the first round left and right. Just to highlight this real quick, man, I grew up watching Tyson as a kid. When I think about my beginnings of watching combat sports, it was being a young kid at family parties and gatherings where they chipped in and they paid for a Tyson fight. You know, I saw Tyson versus Holyfield where he bit the ear. I was up in New York for that fight with all my New York family, one of the neighbors. over there in Queens, in some small little apartment. There's like 20, 30 of us in there having a great time. I was a young kid running around, having a blast. And of course, you guys know how that all went, where he bit the ear and whatnot. But I spent a lot of time in New York as a kid due to a family situation, but not from New York. I'm a true Floridian, born and raised. But, I grew up watching Tyson in those types of situations, even in South Florida too. The family getting together down, the Florida family tuned into the Tyson fights as a young kid. I mean, Tyson was the guy. When you think about Tyson just wreaking havoc on the mic leading up to his fights as well, right? He did it better than anybody. I still haven't seen anybody be able to replicate that in the mixed martial arts world, at least to the level of what Tyson did, being at the top of the game as far as the way he was ruthless on the microphone. I'm not talking about like Conor McGregor, which he has a little bit of that too. He did it good, but there's no one else really that's ruthless on the mic, that offers no apologies. Tyson never offered any type of apologies. He would say crazy stuff on the mic. I wish we had a fighter that was putting in the work, making a name for themselves enough where they're able to get away with saying some of the stuff that Tyson used to say, because that's what made him so crazy. It was like nobody could tell him anything. All right. It's like even a guy like Dana White, who's befriended Mike now, he was a huge Tyson fan. Dana White would keep a certain level of degree of a muzzle on fighters. I mean, he gives them their freedom of speech, but you can't be, I don't know if he would even let a modern day fighter do what Tyson was doing back in the day. And it was a spectacle. It was awesome to watch. He always delivered. And I just want to tip my hat to Tyson, man, for all the work that he's done. And he's essentially my second favorite boxer of all time. Tyson Fury, my number one, Mike Tyson, my number two. So, I mean, I really have a great deal of respect for him. But let me just say this. Don't forget, towards the tail end of Mike Tyson's career, when he was in his mid to late 30s, he was really starting to fall off. His performances were really starting to fall off. If you think about the way he ended his career against Kevin McBride, that was a bad look for him. He got finished there in the 6th round. That was the end of him as far as him legitimately boxing. We know he had a return little exhibition against Roy Jones, if you want to count that. But, he got knocked out by Danny Williams. The Lennox Lewis fight went bad for him there. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Holyfield matches, but I mean, he started dropping fights. The Andrew Galata fight, he wasn't the same version of himself. So what makes you so confident at the age that he's at now that he's going to have really much to offer, especially as the fight progresses? I don't, man. I really don't. I think if Tyson's going to have success in this fight, he has to get an early KO. And I just think that Jake Paul is he's a much younger, fresher fighter, and he has mileage to give. He has durability to withstand some of that onslaught from an old Mike Tyson. And I think that as the fight progresses, you're going to see Jake Paul take this fight over. I'm leaning towards Jake Paul winning a decision though, which I'll be honest, I targeted the Paul versus Perry fight to go over, and we just missed that. We almost had it there, but Paul got that late finish. And I'm kind of going to double down on that type of play here. I like the over 5.5 rounds here, which you can get at -120 on BetUS. I think that Paul shows Mike Tyson a degree of respect in there. I think he'll be on the back foot a little bit. I think you see Tyson be able to use his defensive skills to avoid being KO'd. That great pickaboo type style. I think he can wrap up and clinch up, and he knows how to work that type of game. Hopefully he's not biting on Paul's ear in there. That would be a sight to see. But I think that Tyson still has those crafty skills embedded in him, and I think he could avoid being KO'd by a level of a boxer of Paul, even though he's younger. I think this fight goes over. Okay, I like the over 5.5 rounds for this fight, and I also like Jake Paul to get the job done. I like Jake Paul, and if you force me to pick a side on the money line, which you got Jake Paul at -220 and you got Mike Tyson at +180, the comeback on Tyson, got some nice little dog odds there, if you will. I'm not really looking at it like that though. I think that the value is on Jake Paul, even at -220. I think that the line's even as close as it is, just based off the respect level we're giving to Mike Tyson for the work he did decades ago. But comment below. Let me know if you guys agree with the play I threw you guys' way there. Let me know if you're fading me, if you're tailing me, or what specific bets that you are targeting for this boxing spectacle. And if it's a prelim bet too, comment some prelim bets for us as well. We love to see that type of feedback in the comments section. I hope you guys enjoy this boxing match. I'm sure a lot of us will all be tuned into it. I mean, I know I will for sure. If you're watching this video up to this point, I'm sure you definitely will be tuned into it as well. Hope you guys make some money on it. Hopefully Mike Tyson could land a heavy hook and get an early KO. That would be a great sight to see. And I say that I say that from a fan's perspective. Now, as far as betting, I gave you my free play. We may have some action tied up in that. So maybe not though. Maybe we will just be on the Serrano play. And I got to make an official decision as far as if we're betting on this main event. From a fan's perspective, though, I want Tyson to win this fight, but my money is talking Jake Paul here. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We got a big fight weekend. If you guys didn't catch all my UFC 309 action, go check that out as well. Subscribe while you're here to the channel. Like this video. Signing out. Teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller.